Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football. Welcome to our season review show. We're a bit behind on schedule because apparently, when you get a vaccine and then you get ill, and apparently that messes up with your entire recording schedules. I think that is something that the government needs to know about. Maybe. No, I'm kidding. They don't. But yes, I did get my vaccine last weekend, and so for that reason, there's a bit of a issue with the scheduling. But we're here today to do a season review, and we're going to do the top four teams. We're going to talk about Manchester City. We're going to talk about Manchester United, Liverpool, and Chelsea because we don't care about any of the other mid-table clubs. No, I'm kidding. We probably will do that at another point. But we're here. And once again, we're joined by Adarsh. Adarsh, welcome to the show. Uh,
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for having me again.
yes, I know. I mean, last week we were
After that,
also full of joy and then, and anticipation and hope. And then this week is a little bit, yeah, different. But I mean, it's always great to have you here when you're not in happy circumstances. No, I'm kidding. It's always great to have you here, Adarsh, anytime. And of course, welcome back, Nishikant, our late night
Always a
football
pleasure.
regular. Yes, we have you today, and we are joined by a first timer here, Parth. Welcome to the show. Actually, not welcome back, but
Hi,
welcome to the show.
hi Rohit, thanks for having me.
Yes, it's great. So yeah, so let's get right into it, and let's start with the champions of England only, Manchester City. Manchester City. That's the first of many digs, but yes, Manchester City. We're gonna start with them. I mean, there's a lot that we spoke about at the title winning show, and so I want to make sure that we don't repeat a lot of stuff. So, I mean, let's start. I'm not going to talk about the Champions League final because I don't think one game should define Manchester City season. It should not. But just talking about the fact that City had such a slow start to the season, they were probably what eighth, I think, in December, and then they really got on. Arish, what in your opinion was the turning? Where did you think that the season turned for City from from being sort of like struggling to get out of mid-table to suddenly being like unopposed winners of the league?
I got just one name for you,
Hmm.
Ruben Diaz, and he was the guy who literally changed the game for us. We were conceding goals. We were not able to score goals. There was lack of confidence in the team. There was a leadership thing which was lacking in the team. And then this guy comes in, 23 years old guy comes in. He brings in some sporty thing into the team. The players are rejoiced with the new signing, of course. And there was something else as well. After I was just watching an interview of Fernandinho. He has been a captain for City for some time now, especially after Silva's departure. So everything was going downhill for City. Players were not performing well. Manager was into the lowest of his career time. So there was this one thing which Florentino decided that he asked the kid guy to arrange a meeting with the team members, with the squad, and I just want to have talk with the team. So he goes to the team in the dressing room and he says like, you have to perform. You guys have that confidence. You don't have that confidence, but you have that capability in you. So you have to perform for yourself, for the team, for the club. It's all the hard work what you guys have just pulled in for so much time, and you have to win as well, right? So it was a good team meet overall. And the next game was against Chelsea, and they actually won. No, it was against Tottenham Hotspur, and they actually won against Spurs after like with a scoreline of 3-1. So from that game, everything changed. The players were rejoiced again. There was certain commitments which Fernandinho gave to players, like we have to win this season. It could be my last season. You have to do it for Aguero. You have to do it for us itself. So there was a change in the leadership thing. There was a change in the squad with the new signing, Ferran and even Ruben Diaz, the big one. And there was a change in the tactical advisory as well from Pep. So it was a gradual change, but it turned out to be a big one as the season ended. Because
Yeah.
from being eighth in the league in November, December, and coming back from there to winning the league and a domestic cup as well, being in the Champions League final all at the same time, this takes something special. This not only takes a good manager, but it takes something special from the players as well, from the board as well, to just be with the players, to just be with the manager, to just stay there and do their best.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an overall change for City which they experienced, and we got ourselves in the first finals as well in the Champions League. So sadly we lost, but yeah, it's a good learning overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you mentioned that Spurs game because I think by that point, City were pretty much on track to win the title. I know a lot of people talk about the Chelsea game as the turning point when they, beat them 3-1. I think it was the score was, which turned out to be one of
Yeah,
Lampard's last
3-1.
games. But I actually think it was a United game which actually turned around when they got that 0-0 draw, which is the first time that I think Pep in his life played two holding midfielders, which he never does. Usually he played two holding midfielders, and that just changed the game around for him. Like they realized that they have now got that defensive strength. But anyway, it's all semantics. Nishikant, talking about teams, open secret, Chelsea, City need a striker. Well, do they need a
Yeah.
striker? Do they need a striker? I think they do need a striker. And there's someone available. Do you think? I mean, Sheikh's come out and said that he's going to spend whatever it takes to get Pep another a Champions League title, more league titles. He said that. Do you go for Kane this year, or do you wait for Haaland next year? If you're
Uh, I think when it comes to City, they might go for Kane this year and Haaland next year.
both, okay,
Money
wow.
is not an issue for them. Right? So,
Well,
this would
that
be
would
a
require
question.
a shift though. Pep doesn't play two strikers, so I mean, how do you play two strikers? But
he might rotate. I mean, it's City, right? These kind of questions are, better suited for clubs like United, Chelsea, Liverpool. Would you want to wait here or make a decision to wait a year and go for someone cheaper and proven? But I think City do need a striker because there's, even as a false number 9, like De Bruyne has played there. Gundogan has done well whenever he has been, played up top and as a number 10 or number 9, he has scored goals. But in order to compete in Europe and win against the biggest teams, they might still win the Premier League even without a striker next season. But in order to compete in Europe and win against the big teams, they need a proper striker, because right now they really don't have an option. And we saw that in Champions League final. Pep decided to play a more technical team to keep more of the possession, because like I mentioned, in the first two games and with Chelsea won against Manchester City, they played with two DMs and one DM, but we were able to keep control of the midfield. Right, so I think that's what prompted Pep Guardiola to go with more technical players, because he thought that they would keep more of the ball than compared to someone like Fernandinho. They'd be better at the ball, on the ball. So but with that, in case with a striker, if they have a proper number 9, that offers Pep more flexibility in terms of choosing his team depending upon the opposition. When you don't have someone, and had Sterling been in form like he was 2 seasons ago, you could probably they may think that, okay, maybe we can wait one more season. But the thing is, Kane, it's very likely that Kane would be available this season, right? And he would prefer to not come to a London club. Arsenal, they won't be able to afford him. So then he won't want to come to Chelsea. So that leaves Manchester United and Manchester City. I don't think City board will take a risk of someone like Kane going to Manchester United. They will go after him.
United have already pulled out. They've said they're not going to go after Kane. So that's out of the option. So it's either Liverpool or City.
Yeah, even for Liverpool, because Liverpool are now the biggest challenges to Manchester City. You can disregard this season because of all the injuries.
No, they are.
But when they have their team fit, that's still a good team. Right? So I think they will go for sure for Kane this season.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense as well. Get a top English striker, at the end. That's the
good
market.
And he's a proven striker, right? Haaland, great striker, but is not like coming in and adjusting to Premier League.
I think that's the key. That being said, I mean, there is also a certain Argentinian by the name of Lautaro Martinez who might be available from England. Maybe, and will be cheaper, but maybe might be interested. I don't know if he's a Pep type of player though, but there might be some interest. Speaking of strikers, false nines, Nishikant touched on Raheem Sterling. Sterling and Jesus, I think they sort of got pushed out towards the end of the season. They were surprised that Sterling started the final. I don't think he should have anyway, but he did. But both of them sort of getting pushed out, and we're talking about strikers, and we've got Jesus who's sitting there wondering what does that mean for his future. I mean, what does the future hold for those two? Because Sterling is out of contract, I believe, at the end of next season or in 2 seasons. I'm not sure. The next season, right? That he's out of
Next
contract.
season, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he's going to be out of contract. He wants a new contract. Don't know if anyone's going to want to give him the money that he's wanting. Jesus as well is probably not done what he wants to be doing at City. What does the future hold for them going forward with all this talk of getting a new striker and getting new players in?
I feel City should sell Sterling obviously in the first place. Like he's okay, he's most of a sprinter rather than a footballer. I feel like he just always runs on the wing. Okay, no doubt he dribbles good, very good. Okay, no doubt. But I feel somewhere he lacks that end product, which is like compared to Martial. Even if you see, because even he can run down the wing, you just cut inside, but then nothing, no end product from him. Both the players, if you compare both of them. So I feel City should sell them both. And if they really want to, make it big in UCL, I feel they should change the manager also for a chance. So you can see. So
disregard that. That's just trolling. No,
Okay,
you're not. He's joking. That's not serious. No.
I feel both the players, they should actually hand in transfer request because they are not doing any good for the team also. So like, what's the use of just being in their team and not getting any respect? Sterling is obviously one of the most trolled players in Premier League. Despite his work rate is no doubt, he as I mentioned, his work rate is very good. But if you lack the end product, you are not any good to the team. So at certain point, I feel that City should take the chance this season and should replace with actually a backup striker plus a main striker, because a striker always as Nishikant mentioned in the final, the Champions League final, City they lacked a proper striker because there was no threat in the box of Chelsea's defense. So at that point, somewhere you feel that you need a striker, who can give that threat. If you say strikers like Van Persie, Giroud. So at some point they'll give you late headers. Drogba at 90, they might score a goal from out of nowhere. So City after a point,
Cavani
City stopped. Exactly, Cavani. So after a point, City stopped attacking. I guess after 60-65 minutes, there was no threat from City at all. Chelsea just had to defend, and they were already relaxed and calm and composed. Obviously, not to forget the way Chelsea defended in the final. That was terrific. And I also mentioned it in the thread. Chelsea played terrifically well. Like, there was no other good team that, after a point, we got a good final. The last English final, I feel, Liverpool versus Spurs, was like almost given to Liverpool, because Spurs had no intention of winning that trophy that time. But yeah, a good English final after a long time. And I feel City should get a striker this season, or it might backfire Pep a lot, as he's already in a lot of he faced many challenges this season, like injuries in the start. But yeah, then he made a very clever signing, Ruben Dias, that changed the season for him. So and all that the plus of sending Gundogan forward, that was also one of the most bravest decision I feel from Pep. Keeping the hate aside, I feel City are an excellent team right now, and they can do well if they get a good striker. I feel they might win the Champions League next season.
Yeah, and Khaldun just mentioned yesterday or day before, right, that they need to strengthen a couple of key positions.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the key position is striker position, right? That there's no position that's more important. It's striker is considered to be the main striker of the team, right?
Yeah.
So I'd be very surprised if they sign players and they do not address that particular position, because that give a very good insight into what the City thinks when they say key position. They don't need anything in defense, right? Their defense is pretty much sorted now that they have.
I wonder if they need a backup left back.
Even that's the thing. What I was wondering as well.
Cancelo is there, right? Cancelo and Zinchenko.
Cancelo is a right back who plays at left.
Cancelo is more of a backup for Walker, or a
starter,
and throw with Walker. But
Cancelo has been really very good.
Yeah, Zinchenko, the backup left back is Mendy, but the problem is he's more of an injury leader. So then,
if you keep injuries apart, I would like to see Mendy on the bench, not on the first team, because he is horrendous, man. He cannot track back. He is now very foolish when he goes forward as well. So he is a liability when it comes to defense. He's a liability when it comes to attack. So he just runs where the team runs, not where the ball runs. So that's where
Has
the
he
problem
played
arises.
this season,
He
Mendy?
played a few games, 10 or 15 games. I think
Yeah,
he's played. He's played
he
a few.
had played like 15 or something total games with us this season. But I was really happy when Pep was actually playing Cancelo or even Zinchenko over Mendy on that left side, because I mean Pep has showed his place for Mendy, right? He doesn't want him there. He can choose Zinchenko over him. That means he doesn't want them there. He doesn't want him
I
there.
think.
So,
I just feel Mendy is more of a left wing back. Like he prefers having a back three behind him as opposed to a back four.
I
That's just
mean,
my
I would
opinion.
take Alonso over Mendy, to be honest. I do not rate Mendy anyhow.
That I think
So,
that's fair enough to suggest. I think
Yeah, I don't think
Alonso is,
Chelsea will think twice before selling him.
yeah,
They
Alonso
might
is a much
inquire about
better
Alonso.
player when it comes to moving forward than Mendy overall.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
He used to
we
have
could probably
quality,
discuss
but not
transfer fees.
anymore. Maybe because of his injuries or confidence, you can say whatever you want, but he's not a good left back who can move forward anymore.
Yeah.
But as mentioned, that Mendy already plays, like he plays hardly 10 to 15 games every season. From like where, from I guess he was bought in 2017 or 18, right? If I'm not wrong.
17.
Yeah, with
17,
Bernardo
yeah.
Silva.
17, yeah. So I guess from that period of time, if you look at his stats, he has hardly played 20 games in a season. He gets injured a lot. So like he's a waste in a team like
Yeah.
City.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just on the note of Sterling and Jesus, nobody's handing in transfer requests to City. You don't hand in transfer requests because you lose transfer money if you do that. So nobody does that. Just like how managers don't, resign. They wait till they get sacked because they get the payoff. So that's it. Adarsh, we're going to wrap up on City now. Your player of the season. I mean, you already probably touched on it, but I mean, it's fairly obvious.
Ruben Diaz, and if I could name a second player, it would be Foden, because Ruben Diaz, we all know that he has brought in the change, and it was quite visible as well when it comes to the number of goals conceded and the things how changed with City. But Foden is the other guy I would like to name because he has been so consistent this season, and a player who has changed the mind of a manager, who has played many much better players than Foden as well. And we used to have players better than Foden on the left side as well. Sterling was better than him before the start of the season. Jesus could have played there. He has played there before. And even De Bruyne has played on the left wing a couple of times. So coming on and playing on the left wing and securing your place, that takes something special. That is what Foden showed the fans, the board, the manager, his teammates. And securing his first team action is something which impressed me a lot. And yeah, Ruben Dias, and second to that, Phil Foden.
Yeah, I don't think Phil Foden is the future for City or for England. I think he's the present now for both of them. That's definite for sure. He's an absolutely incredible talent. And if England are going to get anywhere in the Euros this year, I think this season, I think he'll be a key part of that. So we'll watch out for that though with England. But I mean, yeah, fantastic player, Phil Foden. I think I would probably make him my player of the season. As well. I think I don't think I've ever seen him have a bad game. He reminds me of Sancho a little bit from the 2 years ago, where every game it seemed like Sancho was getting a goal or an assist. He was getting something, and it just seems that way with Phil Foden.
A pretty bad game in the most important game of his career.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he had the bad game in the Champions League final. I don't think you can say it about
He
an average game. I mean, I didn't watch the game, so I don't know.
So,
but
again, I would blame everything for the lineup again. He started in the midfield where he did not start for the whole season. And so it's all right. I would take that. A big defeat for us, but yeah, again, a good learn.
Yeah. I mean, we'll leave that one now. Well, moving on from Manchester City to another club in Manchester, Manchester United finished second this season. But is that deceptive? That's what we're going to try to figure out. But I mean, it just to me looks deceptive, but we'll see. We'll come to the end of that. I mean, there's a whole story for this. Parth, I'll start with the start. I'll start with the transfer window for us. And I don't want to use this as a stick to beat City with. This is not a stick to beat City with. But do you think, look back, City got tonked by Leicester 5-2. They lost 5-2. Pep gets on the phone to Sheikh. He goes, I need someone. You need to get me someone. We got to do. He goes and he breaks the transfer record. He says, Pep, here you go. I'm breaking my transfer record. I'm getting you Ruben Dias. They go on and win the title. Fantastic. Great signing. And then United lose 6-1 to Tottenham. They get embarrassed. Oli goes, Woody, You got to get me someone. I need a new lad. Like, don't worry, I'm gonna get you Alex Telles for 13 million. I'm gonna get you Alex Telles, and I'm gonna go and sign Edinson Cavani on a free. This is what I'm gonna get you. Booyah, there you go. I mean, it's levels, isn't it, with transfer windows? I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not an even playing field as much as people try to make it out to be. It's not an even playing field because City are so well managed, they're so well guided, and then on the other hand, you got United who are penny pinching for every cent and every dollar that they can. It's just it's embarrassing in some ways to look at that, isn't it?
Very true. I would like to add to this. The season when Mourinho was finished second, so at the time we expected we will strength, get more strength to the squad where we lacked places like the right wing, which is a major issue since Alex Ferguson left. So I feel when Mourinho got Fred, that was the time we realized that this club is going nowhere in the future. And when Ole came in and he said that he got Cavani in the as a striker position, no one expected he would do so. He would do this good. He almost got 15 goals this season. So I feel somewhere or the other when you're talking about the levels, yeah, I feel we lack. We don't have that. Earlier we used to attract the players through a name because Man United was a brand. Even today, even when we got Pogba, it was because that Pogba was I don't want to go there, but yeah, I guess it was not a signing needed for Manchester United. Never. Coming to the levels again, yeah, I feel that United should act fast in the market because there are teams who have already started buying players, and we are still going on. Okay, yeah, so United started talks with so and so player, but there is no concrete news on any player as of now. I don't feel in the near future, even I won't be surprised if we don't sign any star player this season. As we know, our board that how much they suck. They won't give us any star player, and the reason being, they'll throw Ole under the bus once again. So even this season, there will be we might get a midfielder like Van de Beek. We didn't need him at all because if it was not Ole's signing, I feel. So that's the reason he was on the bench. But yeah, we could have used him as a player. Ole, but you were never interested in using him as anywhere in the midfield position.
Well,
Now,
yeah, Van de Beek is a different. We'll talk about Van de Beek in a bit because I do have a question about that. But I mean, others. I mean, I'm going to ask you because sometimes Parth and I, we're so embedded into the United way of thinking. We scored to it. Maybe we're missing something. Maybe you can help me out. So United needed a right winger last season. They went after Jadon Sancho, who was their supposed top priority. Borussia Dortmund said that we want 108 million pounds, including add-ons, and United said no, and Borussia Dortmund said you have to give it by this date, and after that we're not negotiating with you. And United said, screw you, we'll keep negotiating, and we don't care about your deadlines. So they kept negotiating. Final offer was 90 million pounds, including add-ons. And that was obviously not enough, and they went off, and that's fine. That deal fell through. So, and then United spent 40 million pounds on two right wingers. By the way, they signed two right wingers. They spent 40 million pounds on them. Both of them combined didn't play even 10 games. Facundo Pellistri and Amad Diallo were both signed to play there, and they're gone. Now this season, Sancho, they're going to try to sign Jadon Sancho this season for 70 million pounds. So if you took 70 million pounds and 40 million pounds, that's 110 million pounds, which is what they were supposed to pay for Jadon Sancho, and they didn't. And now they're going to have three right wingers when they could have had only one. I mean, does it sound a coherent? It doesn't sound to me like it's coherent transfer strategy, but is there any sense in that you can make of this?
All I can see is board's disinterest basically in bringing the players what fans need, what the squad needs. They don't listen to players, they don't listen to managers. All they care about is money, where they can spend less and get the quality if it's available. If not, let's leave it right there. So it's the board vision which is quite lacking at this very moment. And again, they need a player, they need a quality player. And if they are aiming for the top, I mean, the trophies out there, they need to bring quality signings, and the quality signings for nowadays, the inflation time, it doesn't come cheap at all. I mean, if City is linked with Harry Kane, who is like what, 27, 28 now, around 28, and the news is about 100 million. So if you're paying 100 million for an English homegrown player who is 28, 110 million for a homegrown English player who is just 20 to 23 is quite reasonable at this moment. So if United are planning to save their pockets with the money what they got, I mean, they got money, everybody knows it. They can spend 100, 150 million on a player if they want to. If they are saving it, they're just going to backfire it for a long time. Getting players like Ahmad or Pelistri, the player you named, I don't remember him, but these are just future signings who could result, who is basically a gamble, basically, who might result good, who might not result good. But this can only be seen in the upcoming years, right? After 3 years. So are United waiting for 2, 3 years to see if these signing could result in maybe then we can fight for the title, or they are looking for instant players? I mean, only they know it because the manager wants the player. Manager wants that position to fill in with a quality player. He knows the target, that is Zinchenko at this moment, at this place, but they're not getting him. So eventually it will depict Ole in the wrong way, United in the wrong way, but it will keep Glazers in the right way. That's what they want. That's what fans don't want. The board is just not up to the mark what the United fans or even players deserve. So
Yeah. So
I would
Adarsh, by the way,
totally,
is a United hater. So he's saying that the board is not good. So you can know, and Adarsh has every reason to praise the Glazers because that gives City
yeah.
on top, and he's criticizing. So I mean, we're not delusional in that we expect a lot. I think it does make sense. I do believe that sometimes the marketing side drives the recruitment side, which is not how it should be at United. But that's just how I feel that it goes that way. Sometimes it's sad to look at it. But Nishikant Parth talked about Donny van de Beek. And I think it's the biggest conundrum, isn't it, with Donny van de Beek? Now the
Yeah.
thing about Donny van de Beek is I don't think he was signed to play as a CDM. He wasn't. I think he was signed because United couldn't sign Jack Grealish. And I think and I believe that Oli thought he could convert Donny van de Beek into a Jack Grealish, someone who can play as a midfielder, but then someone who can also play on the wings, run plus players. That's not his game. He's not a runner with the ball. He's more of a passer. But is there a situation? Would you say Donny van de Beek, is he not played enough, or is he not good enough at this moment in time to start
No,
Manchester United?
I'd say he has not played enough. I think 15, 16 games he has played. I
I
don't
think
know
so.
how
I
many
started maybe 10 or 15 games.
Yeah.
He's played more, but not started.
Okay. So, and the thing is being played out of position as well, right?
Mhm.
You need to play someone, first of all, if you ask me, he is what has been like, not his fault, but one of the worst signings of the season, simply because it's the most unnecessary signing of the season, right? Not a player you needed, and you got someone like this. It boils down to that, and no fault of the player himself. I'm sure he's a good player and everything, but maybe next season, I heard that Pogba is asking for 500,000 per week. Right? United are not going to pay that much. I don't think any club would pay that much to him. And on top of that, I'm sure Raiola would have his own demands as well, something to warm his purse. So, maybe once he leaves, there might be a place for a midfielder, and maybe you could then, adjust, Donny somewhere in that. Maybe get another central midfielder, maybe play him a bit more, up front, or play him in basically in a tactical role, rather than, it's more than the tactical nature of the game rather than the positioning, of the player. So, and obviously, like you mentioned, Ole didn't want him, right? So if a manager doesn't want a player, then that player will never, it's very unlikely for a player like that to break into the team, right? Because if a manager doesn't want a player, that means he knows that that particular player doesn't suit his tactical profile. So there's a high chance that as long as Ole is in the club, and if Ole clearly thinks that Donny doesn't suit his tactical profile, then it doesn't matter which position he plays in, right? Because that you won't be able to get best out of that player. So that's pretty much what it is about Donny van Beek, and it goes to show that your board, like you guys mentioned, what Man United lack right now is a footballing man at the top, right? Ed Woodward comes from PwC, right? He was in tax and accounting, finance department. So it's quite clear that Glazers want a finance man to make most revenues, the most marketing, and generate as much revenue as they can through various different means. They are focused more on the financial aspect. So this is not, So United is not being run as a football club. It's being run as a private company, like you would do. You would
well, I mean,
get
that,
guy from a strong financial background to be your CFO or CEO, and that's what's happening right now. I can't remember who was the chairman when Sir Alex was in charge.
David Gill, right?
David Gill, right? So you need those kind of guys, footballing men. And I don't mean by that someone has to be a former footballer or a former coach. Someone needs to have experience in that footballing domain. Maybe having been in similar roles at other clubs or in other leagues. Someone who knows how the footballing world works. I won't. You can't even completely blame Ed Woodward. That's not his domain. He comes from a completely different domain and is being asked to lead a football club. He knows how to make money. Man United are making money. There hasn't been a dip in revenue or anything like that, and any significant. There might be something down to COVID, but not because of mismanagement from Ed Woodward in that sense, right?
Yeah.
So he's doing what he knows how to do. He doesn't know how to run a football game. He doesn't know that what kind of players you need. And if the board doesn't agree with what Ole says, then Ole or any manager is helpless, right? I think Jose Mourinho asked for Maguire, right, when he was in charge, but they didn't buy him. Then they go and spend 85 million and buy him, right?
But
next season.
It's madness recruitment a little. It's like
Yeah,
almost like
so-
I think the thing with United is they work under budgets, and it's like, well, as long as the player fits a budget, that's how it
budget.
works. And
That
if
the
they
financial architecture and accountant.
yeah,
would
because
make.
in every revenue you've got to account for the 30 million pound that the Glazers have to take. Then there's other kinds of profits because Woodward has. If you put in a profit, then Woodward gets a bonus, so he has to take out his bonus as well of millions. So it's just a mess at the moment behind the scenes. I don't think it's going to improve, but I don't want to spend too much time on the board issues there because I don't think Donny van de Beek actually was the player that was most strong last season. I think the player who was very done dirty last season, Parth, in my opinion, is Axel Tuanzebe, because this is a guy who was out injured for a year, almost a year. He's out injured. He comes back. He's told your first game back, you're going to go up against Mbappe and Neymar in the Champions League. He comes in and he puts in a man of the match performance. I rarely ever seen. I don't think throughout that season until they played City, I don't think any team kind of did that kind of job on Mbappe and Neymar that Axel Tuanzebe and Van Bissaka did. And then his price for getting a man of the match performance is a place on the bench for the next 2 or 3 games until he comes back in Istanbul, and then it all goes downhill. I mean, it's a wasted season, isn't it? And now United are going to sign a centre back. Is there some part of the blame that Ole has to take? I think, and all of this just because he wants to favor Victor Lindelof, who he did what he did in the Europa League final, which he's going to have to take the blame for that one. His player management has been pretty good, but with Axel Tuanzebe, it hasn't been good at all. And I don't know what does the future hold for him now. I mean, surely he's going to be thinking that he's got to move on.
I agree with you there, Rohit. See, if we have put extra effort on Excel, obviously he would have turned one of the good backup defenders better than Lindelof. Obviously, Lindelof has a very strange way of playing. He never has a vision of when he's not aware of his position at all. Whenever you go past him, he's always blank. He has no clue.
Adarsh, you're muted.
Hello.
Parth,
Yeah.
Am I audible? Yeah. So okay, the problem with Excel was like as you mentioned, after the PSG game, he was on the bench. He never played in a while for us. So that's where I feel where we lacked at that time. Ole, obviously his decision was not good playing Lindelof in front of Excel. Because Excel would have given us that strong defense in the absence of Maguire. When Harry got injured, so I feel we got somewhere we were a little bit of helpless in the defense because we know how he's very much injury prone. So he also hardly plays for us even by. So Excel would have given us that boost in the when Harry was not in that our back four. So yeah, I feel Ole has to take some blame that he couldn't develop Excel as he put efforts on Pogba or even maybe Rashford. to some extent, Greenwood on some extent. We all know Greenwood had a very bad start to the season, but after a point, he had a great comeback during the end of the season. So yeah, he kind of balanced that initial period. So yeah, I feel somewhere or the other, Ole has to take the blame of not developing himself. I feel that they might sell him in the next transfer or they might loan him, because I don't think he will do any good right now in the next season, because he won't be getting any chance to play.
Yeah, I think his time has come and gone, because I mean they're gonna sign him at the
Sure.
back next season. If Axel is not gonna play games, I think it's best for him to go on loan or be sold, and I think he's got value there. Like Tomori, he's got a bit of value there that maybe they can sell and get some money for him. But it's sad. It is sad.
Also-
I think if he had played, he would have definitely. I said this with Angar actually in the show after the PSG game. I said if he is not injured, if he plays consistently, he would be on the plane with England right now for the Euros. That's how good I thought he was, and unfortunately that hasn't happened. But I mean, there's one final one to talk about, player to talk about, Adarsh. It's Paul Pogba. I mean, Nishikant touched on the subject about £500,000, and I think that's madness. But I mean, is he a midfielder or is he a winger? Because I thought he had his best season, this one for United. I thought this has been his best season ever for Manchester United. Just the way that he played, his impact on games was brilliant. But he played most of the games on the left wing, and I still feel that he's a liability as a central midfielder. But where do you see his best position? And a lot of people keep saying his best position is as a midfielder. I think it's a winger, isn't it?
Yeah, even I agree that the best position for him is the midfield itself. He would actually excel under a good guidance, I must say, because Jose wasn't good enough for him, because the result was in front of us, right? The result is in front of us. He wasn't able to get the best out of Pogba, nor is Ole in this case. So obviously it raised some questions on Pogba, that if it's manager's fault or it's the player's fault. But Pogba on his day is unplayable. We all know that, right? He has that quality. He has that elite mentality, elite quality, which only needs, I must say, guidance, which will bring consistency to him. He is like 27 now. He's going to be 28 soon enough as well.
Yeah, I think he's 28 now.
So what he needs is just consistency in his career. He's not young anymore. He's nearly at his peak of his career now. And under right guidance, he will excel. I must say that. I still remember when we were aging Yaya Toure, right? He was about to leave the club and Pogba was still at Juventus. So we as City fans were keeping an eye on Pogba. We really wanted Pogba to replace Yaya in our team, especially when we had Pellegrini, or that time there was no chance of Pep Guardiola as far as I know. And we were quite determined that Pogba would be a right fit for City, because we have a defensive midfielder who doesn't need to go forward. We have the other midfielder, Kevin De Bruyne, who can go forward, who can run backward because of his work ethic, his work rate. And then if Pogba comes in, because of his low work rate when it comes to defending, I agree to that. But because of his flair and passing and his vision when it comes to attack, it's actually good. So if United are not able to use that, that means United is not a place for him, irrespective of the club. I mean, irrespective of the manager, irrespective of the tactics, what the manager plays, because you need good players, right? You need technical players around such kind of players, around like players like Kevin De Bruyne, Pogba, old players like retired player like Pirlo, or even Lampard, or even Steven Gerrard. You need players around them who can read the passes, who can be at the right place when the pass arrives. You got players like Mahrez or Sterling when he is in form, Aguero, Jesus, who can convert chances when there's a right time, right? But at United, apart from Cavani, I don't see any player whom you just deliver the pass and who actually has the vision to be at the right place for that pass, who can read Pogba's vision, basically. Pogba can deliver passes, we know that. We just need a player who can read Pogba, who can just work everything around Pogba. A manager who can depict the play around Pogba, just like what Kevin De Bruyne does at City. I mean, people were labeling City as Kevin De Bruyne FC, right, at some point. But we all know that players around them, around Kevin De Bruyne, knows how to perform, where to be at the right place to finish up those passes into goals. So this is what I guess Pogba needs: a good manager, if not tactics, I mean, if not manager, good tactics, and if not both of these, good players around him. And United certainly doesn't have that quality in every aspect. Even if they have one or two good players, not in every aspect. You don't expect Bruno to just go there and score the goal, which Pogba assisted. You can't expect him to do that every now and then, right? Once in a while, it's all fine. He can be in that position where he can score. But Edison Cavani, he can be in that position. But Edison Cavani is not a long-term replacement or a
Pogba
long-term
needs
player.
to be in a double six pivot with
exactly.
more defensive-minded partners, so he can go up front.
He can be
A lot
very
of
good with
criticism
Bayern.
comes. Yeah,
He
a
can
lot
be
of
very good with
criticism comes
Real.
that he can't defend. Right?
Yeah,
but
it's
he has
totally
never been a
fine.
defensive
Yeah, he
minded
was never meant to be
midfielder,
defending,
right? So
right?
yeah, so he's not a CDM, so you can't expect him to be that, right? So get someone like, if Pogba plays beside Fernandinho, I think he'll be amazing.
He'll be amazing.
Pogba, Fernandinho, and De Bruyne as number
Cancelo,
10.
if he plays beside Cancelo at Real, he'd be amazing. If he plays beside Goretzka or even another defensive midfielder like Kimmich, he'll be amazing. But United doesn't have a defensive midfielder that strong, right? Fred, you can't rely on him. Matic, he's old. Who's the other name? No one. So
I kind of disagree with the part where we were discussing about Pogba. Like just others mentioned, like players like Pogba need a good team. But I kind of disagree with that because when Pogba came, his price tag plus, like if he's demanding 500k a week, so a player like him should be scoring 30 goals a season like Bruno Fernandes did. Players like him should give the team a spirit. They should make the team go like Bruno did. Without Bruno, obviously United would be standing right now 7th or 8th in the table because he made us win matches like where where there was no hope. Cavani did an excellent finish to the season. So yeah, Pogba, I don't feel that Pogba needs a good team. He just needs to be consistent. And he was very good when he was playing from the wings. He has provided some sensational performance this season in the second half especially. So yeah, it is not necessary for Pogba to get a good team. He already has a good team. He has good players. Rashford can make good runs. He can control the ball very well. So I don't feel that there is a need for Pogba for good players around him.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I think
it's interesting. The
Bruno
Pogba
should
conundrum, the
deserve
debate,
number
always
7
around.
jersey.
Yeah, I mean, the debate is always around it, isn't it? It's with Pogba. Is he a good player? Like, we've always keep saying on his day. But, you never say that about De Bruyne. Like, on his day, De Bruyne is a world beater. You just kind of say De Bruyne is a world beater. And, that's the level that you want to get to. That's the thing. You don't want to be saying on his day. What you want to say is that's the to be accepted level. Okay, and we lost Parth on that. I don't know if you got upset with what I said. Probably not. Oh, there you go. It's back. All right, okay.
Okay, he's back.
I thought
he was
stormed...
upset because of you.
Yeah, I thought you stormed the room like, oh, I don't want to say that. Anyway, all right. Also, we've said so many negative things about this. So Nishikant, this is a team that finished second in the league, and we've got so many negative plot holes to pick out of. And with all of that, it just feels like an overachievement, doesn't it? It feels like a deceptive position in some ways. It just feels like this team shouldn't be second, but yet it is second.
Yeah, for the want of a better word, deceptive probably describes the season. I mean, in the sense that, you guys weren't in the title race ever.
No.
I mean, you finished second, but despite the braggadocious nature of United fans that we are well aware of, no one came out and said that, we'll catch City and we'll win. No one thought about it, right? It was quite clear that City will win. United might finish second, or, maybe they drop and someone else will take over. There was a real possibility of that, throughout the season. But yeah, ideally, in a normal scenario, number 2 would be someone who's in title race, right? At least for the major part of the season. But that was never the case with Manchester United this season. So, and credits to City for that, and shame on all the other clubs, because the start City had, it was someone else should have picked them up and taken the title, and maybe United should have. But yeah, it is kind of deceptive.
Maybe Chelsea should have.
Yeah, maybe Chelsea should have. But I would still say it's a good season, right? Because it's your highest league position since Sir Alex left. I know Mourinho also finished second once, but since Sir Alex, that the second has been the highest league position.
Yeah, well,
so
it was first.
Yeah, I mean, and last season you guys finished in Europa League spot, right? Or
No,
did you
we finished
finish?
third.
Oh, you finished third?
No.
Okay. So, oh, did you drop to Europa League then?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I forgot. I thought you guys finished in Europa League.
No, we dropped down.
Yeah. So,
We had
but
the
yeah, I
toughest
mean,
group.
it's
United
still,
had the toughest group.
even in that sense, it's a progress from third to second.
Yeah.
Right. And, from Glazers' perspective, that's really good. They can show progress on paper. I don't think it's a real progress in the sense that, challenging for the title or challenging for the trophies. You guys did reach a final, and that's a good thing. I mean, you lost, but penalties are anyone's game, right? So, but it was a bad performance, though. It was a really bad performance in the final, and eventually losing it, but not the end of the world. I would say like 2.5 out of 5 stars for this season, right? But certainly something that you guys can build upon. But you gotta get rid of dead woods that you have, and you need to buy, like, because money is not a problem. Man United have spent a lot of money, just that they have spent on random players that who are not good enough, and manager doesn't want them to be there, and club is buying them and giving it to them. So you guys need to spend wisely and spend on right players, and for heaven's sake, get rid of Pogba if Mino Raiola continues with the demand of 500,000 per week, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Because
Pogba, I think
that
this will
kind
be
of
his
thing-
last season. I think he will run his contract down. We'll talk more about it in the preview show when we do a season preview. But I mean,
because that's toxic to the environment of dressing room. Having a
Okay,
player
I got a question. Was Edison Cavani a hit for United?
I think
Oh,
so.
yeah.
I think
Oh,
so.
yeah.
I think he was good.
Yeah,
Totally.
I don't think
Yeah,
anybody
it
criticizes
took a bit of
Cavani.
time to get there.
Yeah.
He didn't like hit the ground running, but he definitely, I mean, great. As a proper number 9, who has been better than Cavani? Proper number 9, not talking about goal scorer. Kane and Cavani this season.
Kane and Cavani. That's it.
No,
So he
no
was
doubt
out of
there, no
form.
doubt.
Jesus was out of form. Jesus
Yeah, I
not
mean,
even
I
playing,
wouldn't call
forget that.
Jesus a proper number 9. I mean,
Yeah.
he may have outscored Cavani, or I don't know the exact number. I think Jesus scored.
Well, yeah, I
14,
think the
15
Cavani
goals.
criticism is not
Yeah.
about the player himself. I think everybody's happy.
No.
It's just that it was not part of a strategy. It was a lucky
Yeah.
gamble that worked
Yeah,
out, right?
it's
the coherence rather, because they
Yeah,
really wanted
it's like
Cavani.
Silva for us, right? You got a player on free with vast amount of experience, and they turned out well for you. But he's not a long-term solution, right?
He's
He'll
not.
last maybe
One more season.
one more season, max 2 more season. But
No, yeah,
you
I think-
you guys
Just one more.
I think he's got
Yeah.
1 year extension. I don't think he'll.
No, 1 year extension, but if he performs well, maybe 1 more year, but age will catch up, right? So he's not a long-term solution for next 5 years. It's not for a striker. So you guys need a striker as well.
So Bale
because
was
Rashford has been there and thereabouts for a very long
Sorry,
time. and he's
Nishikant,
not-
Adarsh had a question. Yeah, what Bale? What?
Yeah, Adarsh.
when we talk about Bale, I mean he had similar goals like Cavani, right? Bale is named by a few of the people around as the flop signing of the season. But
Yeah,
he
I
had
disagree
similar
with that.
same goals. He had the same goals with Cavani. Like both have 16, 17 goals.
I think it's the
Then
wages.
Bale is
too,
a
isn't it?
Chelsea
Bale-
legend.
Yeah.
Gareth
One
Bale
is
is a Chelsea
considered
legend.
a very good signing. One is considered as a flop signing. So I mean,
I think-
I'm very surprised and confused both at the same time.
Yeah, but I think Cavani hasn't played as many games as Bale did. I think Bale has played a lot more games than Cavani.
It also depends
I
on
get-
what they achieved, right?
And the fanfare
with
as well. I mean,
Cavani,
there's
they
lots
could
of-
achieve second place and a final.
The
European-
difference, I feel the
Yeah.
difference between Cavani and Bale was like Bale had Kane and Son to cover if they're not scoring. In United, no one had that, backup. If Cavani didn't score after a point in the second half, we should rely on Cavani that he will score and will make us win the match. All the late goals or even a header out of nowhere. So Bale didn't have that, that status. I feel that he needs to score goals to win the matches. But Cavani did. So I feel that was the difference between them. So
Please continue.
no, I finished. Continue.
Okay. So where I felt was like Bale was not even a starter. He was hardly a starter. I mean, even under Jose or even under Mason, what the current manager is at the moment, he was never a starter. He always came from the bench. Like scoring 16 goals, he might have started few games. I'm not saying that he hasn't started any or either of it. He must have started few, 5, 6, 7, 8, but he scored like 16 goals. And right after coming from the bench,
Is that
16
across the
goals
full season? that he
across
scored?
the whole
Because
season.
I think he scored a lot of goals in the Europa League early rounds as well, and he did score a hat trick in one game. So I think
Yes.
there's
Yeah. So,
stats
I
are
mean,
skewed.
one is considered a flop signing. I don't know why, and one is considered a very good signing. So
Well,
there must be something flawed.
yeah. Well, I think
No,
Cavani's
no.
overall
So
work rate also might have
yeah,
something to do with it.
and the thing with Bale is his numbers look good on paper, but his attitude isn't. I mean, the guy
Yeah.
came out and said football is now just like a job. I love golf. I don't love football anymore. I mean, he's just waiting for his contract to run out because that's a huge contract. Nobody would want to miss out on that money. I wouldn't be surprised if he retires after that. I don't think he's interested. He's disenchanted with the whole football thing. Unless maybe Carlo Ancelotti does some magic and he's called Diva Whisperer for a reason. So maybe he might be able to change Gareth Bale's mind. But until he finds that motivation, he might. I mean, he's a good player. He's a great finisher, so he will score if he gets a chance, right? End of the season, you might see numbers on the paper that will be like one goal every 2 games, but it all comes down to attitude. If you don't love playing football, you don't want to play, you don't want to be at a club, then people won't like you, and that translates from fans can see that.
Yeah.
We don't know football. We can't play football as good as Gareth Bale, but when a player performs well or doesn't perform well, you can make that out, right? So it translates to that, and that's why people are calling Bale. I wouldn't say he's a flop because but I wouldn't really disagree strongly either, because even once he came to Tottenham, he was injured in the beginning again. So that injury problem that he has is a very big problem right now. He's almost always injured.
But when Cavani joined United, he was also injured for a long time. When he came from PSG, he hardly played in the second of that season. So I feel like yes, the Bale came with the status, obviously, that he's a good player. He played for Spurs previously, and Cavani was new to the Premier League. So I feel that also made one of the difference. In my
Anyway,
opinion.
we're kind of running out of time. I think the only thing I will say about Bale is that he looks at the season, the domestic season, as a pre-season for him for the international tournaments with Wales. That's what it is. So maybe that is what it is. Anyway, we're running out of time, and we haven't even spoken about how Oli has done. We're not going to talk about that. We don't have time to talk about that. Let's just say that he did a good job. He did an okay job, and we'll expect more next season from him. Parth, who's your player of the season for Manchester United?
Bruno Fernandes, obviously, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think a case could be made for Luke Shaw as well. Then there's
Obviously.
Luke Shaw had a very good
but
season.
I think overall, I think it would probably be Bruno. Most people would probably say Bruno Fernandes. But anyway, all right. I mean, we were going to do Liverpool and Chelsea, but I don't think we have time for that today. So we're going to leave that here, and we'll carry that tomorrow. But thank you so much, Nishikant. Thank you so much, Adarsh. Thank you so much, Parth. We'll probably see you back again tomorrow to do that episode. And thank you for watching this episode. Please do smash a like and share your comments about what you thought the season held for Manchester City and Manchester United. Thank you so much for watching, and take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye, Rohit.